This is just road speed. The smoothness that we're talking about with your hands obviously has got to be applied to the pedals. Easily on the pedals, into the corner, easily on the accelerator, and squeeze the car out. That's not an over slow gear change. It's quite a normal gear change in a race car. And we'll come back down for third, second. Simple as that. So now I'm starting to settle in to the environment. I'm starting to feel where the car goes, how much lock you have to put on the steering wheel to get it to go around the corner, and generally getting comfortable with the car. The important thing that we'd be really looking for as adjudicators is consistency and smoothness in the car. It's very easy to see a car that's nervous and stutters around the place, that locks wheels, that gets the tail out, that lights up inside tyres with rubber smoke, are easy for us to see. It's as easy for us to notice that and pick it up as it is for a golf coach to look at one golf swing and see whether the guy can hit the ball or not. So just squeeze the car, smooth. Ask it to work for you. And as you start to get a little more comfortable, ask it to work that little bit harder for you. Now, as I mentioned, because I haven't got a helmet or my three-piece overall on, I'm not going to be going too quickly. But I am squeezing the car just that little bit harder now. And I'm getting, I guess, to fast highway speed. And it's very easy, very simple to lock a wheel. Two ways. One is you just leave them too long and bang them too hard before you've settled the car. We're going to put brake up here. You'll see that the first application is to steady the car and then to really brake the car and decelerate it. The cameraman nearly went through the window. The same coming out of a corner. It's easy with this type of car with radial tyres to get the inside wheel spinning. And in the Grice car, those of you that are fortunate enough to drive that car will find that it's very easy to get both wheels spinning. Because that's another dimension. That's a big, strong car. And if you don't treat that nicely, it'll bite you. The thing won't bite you if you sneak on it and squeeze it, as we're doing with this car. It's so easy to get wheels spinning or get them locked up. They're easy for us to see with smoke, even easier with flat spots. So just squeeze it. And a little bit harder, fine. We're not here for a ladies' picnic. Squeeze a little harder, but keep the control, keep the car straight. And when it's straight, flatten it, use its acceleration. When you come to assess a corner, here is a very important thing. Your mind assesses the corner. And it makes a computation. I'm now comfortable with the car. I know how much lock it needs to go around a corner. So if I've got the computation right, I go once with the steering wheel all the way through the corner. Another corner, once I reckon I judge that it needs that much wheel. Now, am I either right or wrong? I was right. I've done it before. If you accept all of the things that go into a motor car, for example, the front suspension, just think about it. Camber, caster, toe in, toe out, camber take on, roll centre, ride height, polar moment of inertia. All of these things are in the front suspension of the car. Why? For one singular reason: to make the tyres work to their optimum on the bitumen. Because when it's all said and done, irrespective of how many turbochargers and what wonderful seats and helmets and hats and stopwatches you've got, the only four things that are actually on the ground in any race car are the tyres. Now, the suspension is designed to keep the maximum patch of rubber on the road, on the bitumen. That's why all of that tricky caster camber polar moment of inertia is there. So if that's a fact, what are you doing to all those things if you're continually jerking on the steering wheel, as you sometimes see? In race car drivers also, if you're continually working the wheel, as I'm working the camera, what happens is that the caster, the camber, the toe-in, all moves, and that affects the tyre. It affects the tyre in changing its grip ability. If it changes its grip ability, the car doesn't stick as good. It can't. So use this grey computer up here that we have to look at the corner. You've been through it around this corner a couple of times now. Assess the corner, you know the car, assess the corner and make a decision. And say, there's a corner, this corner requires that amount of lock. And there it is. It's a continual decision-making process, and you've got to make the decision. Here's a good one to sample. Here's another right-hander that needs that much lock. Now I'm right in tight, and I'm now flat on the way out. And it was dead right. If you can put a lap together, making the correct decisions with the amount of lock, the suspension loves you, so does the tyre. It's got maximum grip. But if you start to upset it like this, it's just same as upsetting the camera. The tyre can't do its work. That's very important. With these Group E cars, you'll find that the initial handling characteristic is understeer. Now, understeer is a good thing in this type of motor car, in this type of category of racing, because it gives you, the driver, the conductor of the motor car, it gives you time to identify the attitude the car is in. It's not going to suddenly snap into oversteer on you. To identify the position of the motor car and to say, well, if I sit here now with this thing flat and it's heading for the dirt with too much lock on, in understeer, I'm going to go off the road. So you get back off the throttle and the car starts to steer again. It's much better and easier to sneak on a car with understeer than it is with snap oversteer, because with snap oversteer you're in the middle of a corner, it all feels great, and suddenly you're facing the wrong way and you think, now that's probably what he was talking about with oversteer. So these cars are set up with understeer to enable you, when the car starts washing and pushing away from where you've decided with your grey computer you want to go to, get back off the throttle and the car will answer and come back and straighten for you. Smooth gear changes, a loose, relaxed hand, and you don't miss a change. If you miss a change, we'll hear it. The exhaust's are loud, you'll hit the rev limiter, we certainly hear that. So the smooth, relaxed hand, it's got to be. So they both have to. If you're too tight on the wheel, you're so tight in the forearms that you lose that instrument control, which is brings up another good point. As you're working up to speed, invariably you'll arrive at a corner just a little bit faster than you wanted to. After you've slowed the car down back to the speed that you want, and I'm talking all different speeds because I'm still saying you've got to work up little bits. When you get back to the speed you want, you'll be tight. Believe me, you'll be tight in the wrists. I've been in this game for 25 years, it still happens to me. I go through a corner, I'll get it all wrong, suddenly there'll be grass there on the track, there'll be dirt, could be oil. I get it sideways, slide through the corner, pick it all up, regain control, get back on the track, my arms are tight. What you must do after you've had one of those little moments, little frights, what you must do is come back another step. Step back, relax. And I mean relax. I mean straight line, one hand off. Have a bit of a shake, loosen it up, the other one. Get comfortable, have a bit of a look around, loosen your body up, otherwise you'll just get worse and worse. You give yourself a little fright, you tighten up, and Jesus, I'm in strife and I frighten myself, and it'll just get worse and worse and worse. The car will get twitchy. From the outside, the car will look like this because you've tightened up and you're starting to fight this thing that just frightened you. So if that happens to you, give one lap away and use the lap to regather your composure and feel comfortable again. Then start squeezing it up again. That's understeer. Off the throttle and back round it comes. There's dirt on the track here, so it'll get sideways. But the car's still heading in a straight line. We'll use all the bitumen on this road. Right out, right in, only one hand movement, and then right out. We'll understeer on this corner again. Now there it is in understeer. We're heading for the dirt, off the throttle, and it straightens up. Heading for the dirt, off the throttle, straightens up. That's the rev limiter. Now, that's the rev limiter with a standard exhaust. Imagine the noise it'll make with a race exhaust. We'll hear the rev limiter working. We'll know who did it.